So you've gotten yourself a motorcycle. Congratulations. You're about to embark on the most fun that you can have on two wheels. But there's some things you need to know. One, core safety equipment, the helmet, a light jacket, something covering your arms, a pair of gloves. The biggest thing you need to know is how to ride that motorcycle. How you ride it, when you ride it, and who you ride it with are very important points. Formation riding is important to you as a rider simply because you can put yourself into very bad situations very quickly. And quite frankly, the staggered formation is the absolute best formation you can put a new rider into, just learning to ride and control the motorcycle. There's three different types of formations that are normally used with motorcycling. The first is single file. A single file formation is just that. It's a single file formation. The second is two abreast, double file, or side by side, which you see a lot of in tips for instance. And then you have a staggered formation, which is what we'll be really emphasizing about, which is the safest for all riders. Single file formation, as pictured here, this looks is representative completely of a single file formation. Single file formation elongates the group. It puts a novice rider in amongst the group. Yes, it does allow that rider to use both lanes or both sides of that road, because there are three positions in the road. They get to use all three positions within that lane, but it also limits them in braking whenever they have to have an emergency, or if they're in the back of the line, they have a problem seeing what's going to happen ahead of them. In other words, looking ahead. And that's totally representative of what's going on ahead of them can sometimes cause an accordion effect. An accordion effect can reach them at an unspecified time. They're not ready for that particular situation. It's a single file that's often used in narrow and curvy roads. And I highly recommend it on narrow and curvy roads. When you have new riders, you don't want to put them in that situation because they haven't learned how to 100% control their motorcycle within a curve. So they're going to go slower than most riders would with a little bit of experience. Lane position is key. Lane position is completely key in this thing, how you negotiate the lane. The downside, the bigger groups make it longer, and motors on the rear have trouble seeing what's going on towards the front. The next one is two abreast, representing the two abreast. You see a lot of that with police motors, and I am police motorcycle trained. Have been riding motorcycles for 45 years in a professional fashion and a personal fashion. And I am trained. It took me long, long hours to learn how to ride two abreast and how to be that close to another rider. Yes, it is unnerving and it takes a lot of practice, but that's the points I'm trying to make. It's reserved for highly skilled motor officers, motor riders, very highly skilled. You got to get time behind the handlebars to learn how to operate the motorcycle that close to somebody to you. Very little room for error. There's sometimes absolutely no room for error. The advantage appearing to be a larger vehicle traveling in the roadway. That's one advantage. Sure, it looks like you're a vehicle or a car or a truck coming down the road because your headlights are next to each other. Communication is made easier. In some respects, yes. In some respects, no. Because you will take your eyes off the roadway and off of potential hazards to speak with someone looking to your left or to your right. You don't want to ever put yourself in this position if you don't have seat time. In other words, time behind the handlebars, time to work on this particular type of formation. It's a tight formation. It's very precision type, very precision like. So you need to have some time before you put yourself in that position. This position is staggered. As you can see from this photograph, there's a lot of advantages to that. You have room to one side or the other of you. In this case, this bike right here has plenty of room to its right to adjust to a hazard, and plenty of room to the front to adjust to braking hazards, anything that may come into the lane that they have. So you got lane position 1, which is where this rider is, and the rider ahead is in lane position 3. Lane position 2 is the center. We kind of want to stay away from it. That's where all the dirty stuff is, oil, debris, things like that. The staggered formation is most commonly used formation of the 3. Allows every motorcycle to have its own space, its own reaction time, its own reaction space. Provides good vantage points for every rider, not just the rider toward the front. Good vantage points for every rider. Disadvantages is sometimes you'll often have a blind spot, and a rider will be in your blind spot sometimes. That's why you know and make sure you ensure yourself that you're in staggered formation. So you're going to have someone to your left, someone to your right. That way they're going to maybe be in your blind spot, and you may be at a disadvantage at some point, sometimes down the road, doing that. But you have room to react. Your reaction is to whichever side is open and directly in front of you, at least 2 to 3 bike lengths. So you have a lot more room to react. Ride your ride. And I can only think this is safety. I'm talking about safety for a new rider. Always give up formation for safety. No matter how good that formation looks, that formation may look cool, but it may not, it's not the most safe for that particular person. Don't put yourself in that position if you're not totally confident and you haven't been trained. Don't try to ride out of your league. It'll look a lot worse if you're crashing the other guy than it will be if you're riding your ride. Spacing is your friend. Distance changes with traffic, changes with weather, changes with other types, other conditions, roadway conditions. But these things change. So it's always more, always better than less. So more room is better to have than less room. I thank you for your time. I'm sure that you will see now that the staggered formation is the absolute best to have a new rider in, someone who has just bought a motorcycle